the changes to like his bump logic. He tends to bump a lot more. And here we go. We are already loaded in. We've got a classic build. A lot of these perks have been unbanned for Blight during this season. The combo of Pop and Eruption. We can see that Obi is already using it. We've seen Obi play Blight in the past. They picked this set on purpose because Obi does a fantastic job. Corruption Invention already blocking a lot of generators. We can already see the effects of the map being really huge. There's a lot of hiding spots, except that person who blew up a generator, it was intentional, right? It's getting the killer's attention. That's so unfortunate. It must have just happened when he let go. We're already in the first chase though. We just need to last a really, really long time. Early first chases matter so much. And every single match, not just Blight matches, but particularly Blight matches. All right, already ready to go.
Ready to go indeed, and Xeno is feeling good so far, taking the attention of the Blight here, finding immediately this very safe pallet at the main building, not even injured. Obi struggling a little bit here in these first few seconds, trying to get the hit onto Pedro there, but he's a little bit faster, dropping this pallet early in order to keep it safe. Obi now trying to use the tree here. That's going to be a little bit of patience. Next flick attempt coming out, but Pedro is just a little bit too slippery, not taking the injury just yet, and we are actually seeing on the corrupt intervention timer 80 seconds, 90 seconds now have already passed. That is almost one individual generator, and there we see it being popped in the distance. That is not at all a good start into a Blight set. Usually you want to make sure that you find your first chase, getting the injury quickly, even the down quickly, and usually we are also saying if the survivors get the first generator in exchange for the first hook stage, that is a good sign for them. Now we have the first generator completely for free. Let's hope that Obi can take the pressure back a little bit. Silhey waiting on the pallet here, dropping it perfectly, making sure that he's not going to take the injury. So we are maintaining the pressure on the side of Elysium and Ray. We do need some injuries. We need some downs, and in best case we needed them like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, indeed. We do get our first stage hit onto Silhey. Oh, looks like this will be a down as well. Caster cursed them. Obi will be getting his first down. But look at all that generator progress we can see on the UI. On the left, we have a double generator right here. This one was kicked, I believe, at least one time. This was Lara's. No pain resonance allowed in a Blight set whatsoever. So we know that there's not going to be any reason to get off the generator a little bit early. Does have Pop Eruption, does find a sneaky little survivor right here, a Claudette with Sprint Burst, who's getting more distance away into the safer pallet right here. We can already see the effects of Blight's incredible bump logic, just hitting everything right there. Waits for Eruption to come back online before giving that a nice and healthy kick. With Pop goes the Weasel, rushes back, possibly going to try and get a tunnel out into Silhey, who was our first hook. We know that Xeno was here, snuck around, possibly the Deliverance player. It was planned. Another filler pallet. This is exactly what Ormond is known for, having tons of filler pallets right there. However, Blight's bump logic makes it so playing them with just rushes is really difficult. Yeah, right there, already bumping on a bunch of stuff that he didn't used to bump on. The snow piles are they're more likely like rectangle hitboxes instead of just slopes like they used to be able to slide right off of them. And Silhey's doing such a good job. 3 generators already done for just 1 hook stage. This is not something you typically see out of a Blight set. Tries to jump in the locker just to waste a little bit extra time. I don't believe Decisive Strike is even up. Oh, man!
Oh, damn.
Someone in the voice chat must have yelled at Silhey not to pick, because you need to time decisive strikes like that in these high levels. You need to do it. Doesn't waste too much time, but precious seconds matter in situations such as these. Silhey continues to just die in this corner. Obi will be taking him closer to the middle of the map, but look all that generator progress. It seems like all hope is lost, because in Blight sets, a 4K is usually pretty common, but right here, it's not looking too good. I mean, they do have the Mori, so the unhook could happen and then the tunnel could happen quick, but look at that generator progress. Another one gets done, and now we're in the end game scenario here on a generator we know is out there and has progress. It is easily patrolled by a Blight, but let's be real, these are high tier gamers. Like a 3 generator, it looks like a gen split all the way across the map when you've got pressure such as these, people who can loop as well as this, people who know all of these scenarios. So OB might not be in the best spot. And this is their killer pick, mind you. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see what else they can do.
That is the tricky aspect, right? The fact that they came in here and they said Blight, and they also picked the map with Omen 3, and they said this is the... Ooh, even fakes like these are now going to work out. Beautifully played here by Xeno, going for the unhook attempt and then forcing the swing out of Obi. Makes me think that there's a second survivor around, or Xeno just going to let it happen. Yeah, now it's going to be the injury onto him, taking the trade here, and obviously it is going to be Silhey who is finding himself in the potential tunnel out, but we don't have the time for that. It's now going to be the tricky thing here as well. You need to make sure that you're not wasting too much time on Xeno or Silhey compared to the last generator, and that's why we're seeing that Pedro and Swatter are being pushed off. Swatter, who's bringing in the first Ash into the winter circuit so far, is showing a strong game. Obi has to take care of the generator, but it's only a dry kick, so it's only a little bit of a 5% blast onto the cracking killer pressure that we see in this trial here. Not going good so far. Now you have potentially a little bit of a chance. We have everyone injured now, so potentially Elysium was a little bit overstepping, a little bit too confident, but you need to punish them for that. Beautifully done right here. Pedro is going down onto the floor. Xeno is now being picked up in the distance. That is the instant heal there as well. Makes me believe that he came up with a plot twist or some sort like this. We will have to take a look later on, but Silhey now also back to being healthy, and Swatter has reset himself as well. So yeah, it was indeed Xeno being cheeky here. So Elysium was in a dangerous situation. Everyone had been injured. It was the perfect moment for Obi to punish them for that, and it just didn't happen. Elysium is back to only 2 survivors injured. They are 1 step ahead. They are not greeding too much. Yesterday we had one situation where Elysium was getting a little bit too confident. Nice to see that they are taking a little bit of a cooler approach here, but if they don't make a mistake, Ray, then it's going to be really rough for Obi. He needs to find a grasp somewhere where he brings his pressure back.
Yeah, the pressure would have been won with a tunnel out right there, turning it into a 3v1, but Obi just did not have the choice. Going for a tunnel out there right there would have just awarded him with just that person and that person alone, but it seems like it might have been better than nothing because that last generator just seemingly pops out of nowhere and Obi has nothing. Oh my god, so right here Silhey is actually the improper chase now, except that Obi finds them, although this will secure one person out of the game, turning it into a 3v1 for the end game, which is still just as important. Except the door gets open. Silhey is worth the least amount of stages. Swatter must have been on the door. Now Obi is forced to just take that one more late hook. Ladies and gentlemen, that is only a 3-stage 1 fresh. That is a dastardly result for the Survivor team to pull out here. Elysium showcasing just how good they are against one of the highest tier killers. Pulling out a 3-stage. That's gonna be mad difficult to be able to beat next game, because all you really need to do, you don't even need to tunnel out one person. You just need to get, you could even just get 2 hooks, 3 stages, 2 different people. So that'll just be a very, very good result for the killer to work forward to. I think Elysium is just absolutely giddy in their voice chat right now. They definitely deserve it because that was super well played. Well played.
Yeah, if our killer would be Russian, I would say he has a trauma and that he wants this sequence to end. But since he's not, he will have to figure out a different excuse and a different game plan for the upcoming trial. We will find out what they can bring on the Ormond Resort. They basically need a perfect survivor trial, Ray. I absolutely agree. Like, you would get the first survivor. You could camp him to death. You would have enough time when we are taking the average chase time for Blight. You could eliminate that survivor just in time, and then just you could just progress into the win condition, because you will certainly find someone in the end game. So it is going to be very, very tricky. And then once again, emphasizing on one aspect that you mentioned during the game, you have mentioned that Calamity said this is going to be our pick. And I think when you are coming in confidently saying this is the killer and the map where we have been successful yesterday, where we have a good grasp over our opponents, and then you are getting, and I will use the word carefully, but sorry, then you get slaughtered with 3 stages.
Oh my.
That is just affecting the entire Vista 5, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is the very first match. Maybe they're just warming up. It does tend to go like that, right? I swear, if you pick a killer, you just have to always be prepared to lose, because I see that happen so very often where people just get like absolutely locked in on other people's killer picks. Maybe it does have something to do with the fact that you play first and the team that comes afterward just has to play for that result. So it makes it a little bit easier. But my God, a 3-stage on Blight is just so good. So good. Definitely very, very proud of the way they played there. Now that they have that result, they can just play just exactly however they want. They could just go around, they could just chase people. It's going to be really difficult, but we have seen crazier things. We have seen crazier results. It's not over till it's over. They definitely will have to pull out some cool shenanigans for their back pocket, but I believe that they can do it. I have a belief. We've seen them play against teams before. Ah, man. That's just a crazy result. I love it. Okay, we get the teams. They're already joining in and everything. We should be good to go soon.
It's also a result that you don't expect anymore in the top 3, right? This is also like when we are looking through the tournament bracket, and you mentioned like the teams are getting stronger and stronger, yeah? So obviously you are getting a little bit more pressure from the survivor side. It's going to be harder to get the first down and stuff, but you're also one of these killers that made it to the top 3, so it is kind of expected that you can live up with the pressure. And a 3-stage result in the top 3 is really, really huge. Zeno is now going to take the responsibility here for Elysium. Pedro, Oscar, Rocket, and Hein are taking a moment here. Not too long, but they are going to discuss potentially what they have ahead of them, which is literally a perfect survivor trial that we have to imagine here. So let's see if this is going to be successful, if they find any special strategy during the early game as well. I think this is going to be the most deciding factor. If we would come up with the average chase time and this typical down while half of the corrupt is still up, while the survivors are just trying to get out of the corrupted area to their first active generator, if we have a down like this, then Zeno already got a third of the win condition just in the first minute of the game. So you really need the long chases. You need to make sure that you potentially even set up a pallet save or a flashlight save, something wild like this. But it seems like we are ready to go. So ladies and gentlemen, let's see what these teams have in store for us on Omen 3. Elysium definitely setting down the pressure here. We can tell they want to make it into the grand final next weekend, as Eternal is currently sitting up there. And I also think with all the roster changes that are ahead of us, with Eternal splitting up basically into 2 new teams, Elysium taking a new player, it will be the last time that we would see Eternal versus Elysium as a chance. So I understand that Elysium is going full mode here because they want one last grand final like this with their typical opponents, we could say.
Yep, that would be a showcase to behold. I do like that they're locking in first for these last changes. I think that's going to be so fun. I like that they're mixing it up with teams. It's not just going to be the same people and the same teams every single tournament. You know, they're going to be mixing it up. They're going to be going against people who were their previous teammates, and just, it's going to be really, really fun. Already we've got Zeno loaded in, a bit typical to the last build that we saw, except one more extra slowdown there, just in case, you know. Agitation's more of an aggressive perk that Obi used last game, but Zeno's using Hex, Rich, and Fate. When the first generator gets done, the obsession becomes Curse, and then they can't do the generators as fast as the other people can, until that totem gets cleansed, per se. There we go. We're already in the first chase. This is so much better of a result than last game. Oh my God. That was such a good flick right there. Yeah, Zeno's absolutely feeling it. He's locked in. This is exactly, I was going to say, this is the start that you needed. If you, oh yeah. If you needed something from this game, it was an early down. That's the difference between last one and this one. Last one, they didn't have enough time to let the survivor sit up on hook for how much generator progress had already gotten done. So like, it is an S tier killer, yes indeed, but you still need to wait just as much time. Wow, they saved so early. They saved so early. Oh my God, that's a crazy result. Maybe they're just going, they're like, you know what, man? I think this game is already lost. Maybe we just speed up our hook stages. We just speed them up. Oh, look, there we go. A little bit of a mind game. Oh my God, Zeno, where you going, bud? Oh no, it was planned. It was all planned. It was just a warning for, I believe it was Hein there over there. He said, stay away from my unhooks. Stay away from my stuff, man. I'm gonna go for Pedro. I'm letting you off. Everybody gets one. There we go. Now we just have to win a couple of 1v1s here, and then Zeno is good to go.
Just need to quickly become the ladder champion here, but actually Pedro is doing a very fantastic job, and the early save, as much as we expected that it was potentially a little bit too early, giving the chance for an early tunnel out and so on, is not really coming in clutch just yet. Pedro is however going to be injured very soon, as this pallet is not at all safe, understandably. Therefore he is going upstairs. Oh, unexpectedly taking the window. We usually don't see that, and that seems to be a balanced landing. Difficult 50-50, and now he's going down onto the floor here. That's going to be the next hook stage for Zeno, and that's also going to be another fresh hook, meaning that any hook stage, regardless of Rocket or Pedro again, or Oscar and Hein, the next hook stage is going to be the 1-0 for Team Elysium. So from now on, we need a perfect trial. We need the save on Pedro. We need 3 generators, and just by this long list of tasks, you hopefully realize how difficult that is. Oscar is waiting here behind the locker as Zeno is currently around. Hein is delegated to go for the unhook. They need to make sure that it's not going to end up in a trade, and that they are also finding some safety here. You have this very difficult filler pallet to play with, and now Hein basically in the open. We have the injury already. Now you can use that little bit of a sprint burst here to make it to the next tile, but nothing really where you are going to be on a long run, especially when Zeno finds the tree here, and Hein is the golden survivor basically. If he's landing on a hook, that's going to be GG's and 1-0 for Elysium in a rather dominating approach, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Right there, I know I said that you needed to get 3 stages on 2 different survivors. Well, 3 stages on 3 different survivors works just as well. Zeno was just out here playing this like a pub game. He said, you know what? I am a nice guy. I am not going to be tunneling. I'm just going to go get hook stages on whoever I please. And that's exactly what Zeno did. The win con was a little bit easy, a little bit cut out for him. So that, oh my God, reads Oscar's mind right there, has finesse, but finessed right into the killer's face, I believe. And that'll just be it right there. We can already see Pedro here as well. Everybody's like, hey man, chase me. I want the 1v1s. I want to get warmed up for the next game. They already know what they're doing, what they got going for them. Underneath the pallet just picks, no fear whatsoever. It's not as if the game can be thrown at this point. I'm sure the survivors are just sitting on gens as well, trying to get the progress going. You know, they want to get as best of a result as they possibly can. Doesn't matter that the game is lost. They're still going to play out this match because you know what? It's not over till it's over. If they can leave this match with high hopes and high spirits, then that is exactly what they are going to do, because they still have at least 2 other sets to play at the very least. You know, they're going to hope for a little bit more. Calamity does definitely want to get to the grand finals. All these teams, of course, want to more so, just because this will be the last time that all these teams are really going to play in their set teams. So they want to go out with a bang. Oscar sits on the hook again. Is that 3 or 4? That's 4 fresh hooks, isn't it? The UI's bugged out a little bit. Yeah, okay, that is 4 fresh hooks. Look at that. Everybody gets a turn. Hooray! Everybody gets a chance to be up on the hook. They all at least took a chase. So they should all be feeling it. They should all be ready to go. The S-tier killer sets are not really about, I say they're not really about chases, but the last game showcased just how insane those chases were. It's more about like time efficiency. I always know that S-tier killer sets can be exhausting to play in because you have to keep in mind all of this stuff. It's a lot harder. So I was really happy that our S-tier killer set came at the very beginning because the people came in with their fresh mindsets. But man, what a blowout for the very first game. Pedro takes another hit right there. Zeno seems really calm in his dashes. He's not going too fast. He's not going to bump into just regular, ridiculous things that you don't think that you should be able to bump on because, hey, it's snow. I should be sliding right off. But no, definitely just seeming like he's locked in for this very first set. And banning a sweet rocket. You could definitely tell these players are just absolutely experienced in these situations because they're pulling off stuff like this, even in really high tier sets. These survivors are making this killer look like he's a baby. He's got only 100 hours in the game. Leave him alone. But no, everybody here, they've got thousands of hours. They've got, I don't even know exactly how many hours they have, but at least in the teams, it's got to be a combined over like 10,000. Look at that fantastic dead hard too.
Beautiful play here by Pedro. Really, really well done. And yeah, there we see the quality of Calamity. Somehow that's not connecting. What? Email to behavior. And then you get 10 eerie shots as a compensation. This patience game is also going to be on Pedro. He's on an insane run right now. And I think what you mentioned is really important, right? It looks so easy and it looks like they're just selling Zeno away here on Ormond. And that is the quality of Calamity. So everyone who is now thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, 3 stages compared to now we are minimum talking about 7 stages, 3 to 7. That is such a clear result. Calamity's killer couldn't deliver at all. Everyone who's now thinking that is going to be a clear game, it is not going to be a clear game at all because Calamity has some wonderful qualities and some very strong chases, and that will become relevant very soon in our second set here with the Dark Lord especially. We are now trying to save as many survivors as possible. Pedro is once again on the run. We have seen Rocket, I believe, around, so he's potentially taking a hit, and the exit gate is also not this far. We also need to keep in mind Calamity is staying on the survivor side, so of course they would like to have a nice end game now. Just a straight line here on Ormond, then they can leave together. The question is who will be sacrificed, who needs to stay behind, and who's writing a mad minus rep onto the team member's Steam profile. Zeno trying to get around them, taking the long approach, and that actually works. He even waits out the dead out from Pedro, but what a wonderful attempt. Everyone back in, and it is going to be Rocket staying in together with Pedro. Who is it going to be? Yeah, Mori would be what I'm hoping for as well, but for the sake of the hook stages, I do believe we will see Rocket being taken. No, you get your Mori actually. You get a little bit of a finisher, and Calamity is celebrating the heroic sacrifice of the team. What a great endgame. What a great show. I really love that we have time for that when the trial is already completed. We've seen fantastic chases here.
Two. Yeah, there we go. 2 and 1. Oh yeah, there we go.
2 for us in 1 trial. This is perfect. Yeah, really love to see that. Once again, like Calamity with such strong chases after they already lost the set, and then having this little bit of fun. Obviously also Elysium and Calamity, long-time friends with each other, really often scrimming against each other. There's a lot of mutual respect between these players. They will even team up soon in some of the roster shakes, so really, really great to see that. It was a fantastic trial if you're asking me. Perfect start into the best of 5. Obviously, Elysium now with a good advantage here, stealing the set point from Calamity. But ladies and gentlemen, that is not the only great thing that we have. We also have a trailer for Season 10. You've seen it yesterday. Maybe you will only see it today the first time because you were not quick enough with the random cancellation on the family dinner. So you missed yesterday's DBDLeague stream. Here comes the trailer for you again. And then we will send you on a short. Please stand by. We'll be back with the second set in just a moment.
Welcome back, everybody. We've seen this all before. Dark Lord on the family residence once again. We have already loaded in Zeno on the Dracula, playing against the survivor team of Calamity. This is now Elysium's team pick, so we can expect high things, except that's what I thought last game. That's what we thought Calamity was going to put on the Blight, but the survivor team Elysium did a fantastic job. But now it is going to be the Elysium killer playing first. We've already got Zeno hot on the trail of Pedro here. Just misses that by an inch, by a centimeter, by a tiny little whatever you guys say in other countries. I don't even know what the smallest unit of measurement is. I only speak in freedom numbers. But the first hit does come out onto Pedro, uses the bat form to catch up. Now it's gonna be a hellfire hit. Fantastic. That is a really early down, doing a really good job. I swear, Zeno is just absolutely locked in on these matches. That first down happened just as early as last game, and that was an S tier killer. Granted, Dracula is still very good, but I bet Zeno is just absolutely he's just doing so well today.
Yeah, he needs to be in that grand final with his team. I think it would be too sad if Eternal and Elysium do not get a big final for the final before the finals. You know what I mean. Genau, exactly. And Calamity deserves to be here for Zeno. I'm talking from Zeno's POV, but there's no place for them in the grand final, and this is what he needs to make sure now. And so far he's, as you mentioned, really locked in. Rocket has the responsibility to go for a longer chase here if he is even targeted, because it seems like Zeno also wants to scout the area a little bit, potentially finding the incoming rescuer early enough to turn this into a trade. Waiting over here, knows that one of them is behind him, so they are lurking here in the bushes, and Zeno just not opting to move away. That is totally understandable because Pedro is about to hit the second stage, so you can certainly give up one, in worst case 2 generators if you're then having your clean tunnel out target once again into the wolf form, and just a few seconds left onto the hook of Pedro. And if Calamity lets him go into second stage, which seems to be the case now as we are further than the 50% mark on the hook timer, we really need to see the counterplay for this. We need to make sure that they are now the gens flying. There's a second one, but if Pedro stays on the hook here, potentially even all the way into elimination, then 2 generators won't be enough. We would need to go all the way down to 1 generator only if this is going to be a planned sacrifice.
It definitely seems that's what's going to happen. I don't know if Pedro on the hook has any anti-tunnel perks, so maybe it's just not worth the time investment. Here we can already see that the generators are getting some progress. We know that a trade-off for camping is the fact that survivors are staying up on the generators over there, so they're getting a lot of pressure for this person just sitting there, but it seems like they do plan to save Pedro. They are just kind of stealthing around, except Pedro just ultimately dies on hook. Maybe they're setting up for getting some generators done across the map away from the ones that they have already done. That's a really early death, That is just really good for Zeno. Getting out one person turns it into a 3v1 now. Dracula with his really good map pressure in bat form, unable to see survivors, but can still hear and see their scratch marks. However, the survivors are going to be stealthy. Definitely, Zeno thinks so too. He's checking the locker, trying to look for a survivor. Hex Wretched Fate does see its use run its course, has been cleansed. Now all Zeno has to rely on generator pressure, even map pressure, is Gift of Pain, And Scourge Hook Pain Resonance still has 3 stacks on Scourge Hooks. That's all the remaining survivors. And then Gift of Pain, giving survivors Sloppy Butcher whenever they get unhooked. And for the first time when they get unhooked from it, a little bit of gen slowdown. Oscar takes a M1 hit right there as well. Will be injured. Will Xeno use the Hellfire to get a hit? It does not hit because it takes a second to actually activate. You have to sort of pre-fire a little bit. Tries to be, goes around like that. Absolutely just reading Oscar's mind. It seems that Xeno just has everybody's number here in the lobby. He knows exactly what they're going to do. We saw that in the Blight set as well. He won a lot of 50-50s. It seems like it's not even a 50-50. It's in his favor of 70-30. He knows exactly what they're going to be doing. Hein working on a generator right there. That is about 75% of the way through. Now a little bit over 50 because of Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. It seems that Xeno has really good hook spawns this game because that was really, really quick. Is looking around for potentially the save, which is happening too. Rocket is here looking for that quick pull. And Xeno just absolutely knows it. This is the experience of really high tier players, right? They know exactly what needs to be done. And they're saying, hey, if this is exactly what the survivors are doing, and I find them and I catch them out, that is huge. And there we go. Rocket is down on the ground. And now Hein just commits to the generator because he doesn't want it to be a 4K3. Turning it into, at the very least, a 4K2 is exactly what they needed. But now that Rocket's on the ground, Oscar's on the hook, Xeno could just stay up here on the hill and he's just observing because he knows that if they want to progress the game, they have to get out of this one area. So he just sits there, a little sentry turret, and does catch out Hein. What will Hein do? Will he be able to get the save? Will he get the pick? I don't know.
If the wolf wouldn't make so much noises while sitting up here, it would actually be a silent hill, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. And Hein is going to, accept his fate, going down next to the others, and that's going to be a 4K with 2 generators remaining. That is again an incredible result for Team Elysium. That is again absolutely outstanding played by Xeno, and that is again, Ray, a little bit of a deja vu, but that is again going to put a ton of pressure onto Team Calamity here. They are already in a difficult position. Already we are down by a set point, and this is, I think we can agree on that, very clear why Elysium has selected the Dark Lord here. So the killer of Calamity hopefully able to meet up with that. But Ray, maybe talking about the win condition real quick, 4K on 3, will we see something wild like slugging or some sort of that?
Oh my god, slugging! I would be so disappointed.
Slugging from the beginning.
I know, that would just, oh man. Slugging in my tournament? I can't believe killers would result to tactics such as the, oh my god, hardcore parkour. Does a little jump right there, that was cute. A 4K2, wow, that's just so well done. It seems like Elysium, they're just not joking around. They just want to win, and they're gonna do it really quick. They're gonna turn this 3-0. This is gonna be a really, really short stream if it ends up being like this. But you know, it's not over till it's over, right? We see what Dracula is capable of. What they just need to do next game, what Calamity's killer needs to do next game. They can just meet it as well. They don't actually have to beat it, because that is way better if we just go into further sets. We get to see the last few killers that have been picked. I would love that. I would love that so much. But yeah, very well played by Xeno. 2 really good proud killer games in a row. We'll see. We'll have to take a moment and switch sides, you know? We'll have to see what Calamity's killer. I don't know who's going to be playing. Maybe it will be Obi again on the Dracula. I believe in previous times, Obi did play on Dracula. I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, memory serves me correctly. I don't know. I mean, we've seen so many sets. It's kind of hard to keep track of them all. I've seen Dracula almost every single time I've casted, actually. There's been a Dracula set. I don't even know if there has been a set without Dracula in it.
Yeah, well, you could literally mark the games that played without Dracula, and then it would be way easier to count those. Dracula on Family Residence 2. And I'm telling you now, guys, we will not see Dracula on Family Residence 2 for Season X. I don't know what the rule committee is going to cook up with that, but if they keep going for Dracula Family Residence 2, we'll just fire all of them.
Yeah.
And then have no balance, but
just remove
then
that
we'll
map
just
from the
play.
pool at least.
Yeah, like we need to do something about it, because also our referees that are watching every single set, we need to think about those poor souls that have to watch Dark Lord over Dark Lord. If the teams would at least pick a different map, but for some reason on the Dark Lord, no one cares about the map pool and no one cares about the variety. It's so interesting. Let me check actually real quick, because I don't even have the maps for Dark Lord on my mind anymore, because we have never seen them. It never became relevant. So it would actually be Family Residence 2, Father Campbell's Chapel, or Almond Lake. My backup map is Fractured Cowshed. That doesn't sound too horrible. I don't know. We will need to do some research with the teams why the other maps have been neglected so much. Ray, we don't even have so much yap time today because the teams are super fast. Obi is ready to go with his Dark Lord. Zeno, Ipic, Swatter, and Pedro are taking the survivor side for Team Elysium. Once again, the win condition would be 4K on 3 generators still standing, which is absolutely crazy. So I think if we are able to match 4K2 and then going into the next set while keeping it as on a 1-0 because we tied, that would almost or should almost be treated like a win for Team Calamity.
Yep. That would be, man, it's so difficult. Not even just the way that the players are playing, it's a whole mentality thing. If you take the 2 first sets by such a huge margin, that is just absolutely devastating. They're like, oh man, you know what? We're playing so bad today. This killer is just absolutely locked in. Might as well not even try and just roll over and show our bellies. But no, I want these teams to stay locked in. I need to see some plays happen. Come on, guys. We need to see it happen. It just feels rigged, honestly. But they're just playing so well. It seems like Zeno, his thing is that he's just getting these early downs so quickly. He's just winning every single 50-50, and he's putting himself in these scenarios where it doesn't even feel like a 50. I said this earlier. Feels like it's just more in his favor, and he's absolutely reading their minds. He must just be in like this complete zen state. But now Obi himself has to play on a pick that wasn't even his. This is a killer pick that Elysium chose, right? Yep. So they I did say earlier though, it seems like everybody who picks their killer seems to lose their set. Maybe that'll be the case, who knows? Like you said, they have to get a 4K3 to win. The killer has to get a 4K3 or 4K2 to tie. So, boy, maybe it'll happen. Obi does find an early chase onto Swatter. Swatter wasn't in the previous game. We don't know if they're a juicer or not. I believe he wasn't in the previous game. Gets switched out and doesn't go down immediately. It was a good pick right there. Does take a pellet to the face. Pedro just throws it, a little bit of a jump scare, gets a little bit of distance here, and now Obi will use the wolf. Does have to pre-fire a little bit. It's not exactly like Wesker's dash where you get to decide where to go and you go. You have to charge it up a little bit. It seems like the dash takes a little bit of time as well. 50-50 does win, gets a hit onto Pedro right there. Will be able to catch back up using the bat form, but it's Shaq with a tile next to it. This window setup does look pretty good. Pulls out the Hellfire. Yes, indeed, just goes for a hit. I think tries to go through that tiny little crack there. The Hellfire is a little bit janky, and if you are a good Hellfire user, you do know exactly where to do it. Seems like Obi has some experience. A mean Shaq throw right there. I know if this was in a public game, your teammates would be screaming at you. I can't believe you threw Shaq at 5 gens. It's gonna be, oh no, not 4. I was just gonna say it's gonna be a little bit less than that soon because these survivors are sitting on those generators. This first chase does seem to be a healthy duration, except there we go. Pedro does eventually lose out. Obi's first down happening with 4 gens remaining. I believe it's about to be 3. Needs to get a hook right now. It needs to be a pain rest hook right now. Will it be? No, it won't. That is unfortunate. A little bit of RNG not on Obi's side, but that is the first hook. It is about to start the real game.
Now, Pedro with the hook here. A little bit too late if you're asking me. Again, we already have that generator completed. So Elysium is in the dynamic now. They are going to be on a second completed generator soon, at least when we are judging the progress. So the pop really coming into clutch here. We haven't used the pain res yet, so this is also in the back pocket. But we need to make sure that we get the pressure before Elysium gets 4 generators completed, which effectively also means that they can ignore any 3-gen setup in order to take the win here, which is always a fantastic news or message for the survivor team when you tell them 3-gen doesn't matter. Obi trying with the Hellfire, trying with the Wolf, trying with the Bat form, but these survivors just not down onto the floor. Beautiful usage of the light. They're getting some distance towards that shack. We see a little bit. Oh, that was actually really to the right side, Obi. Hopefully you're not playing the AVP on Counter-Strike, and unfortunately that is also now going to be a little bit of auto-aim. When it's already going against you, then luck is not on your side. This is a saying that we have in German, and I think this is what really applies to Obi here. Difficult early game now with the second hook stage here. Certainly getting a little bit of progress, but it is 2 minutes of hang time again. So yeah, 2 minutes of hang time again. Swatter here will be a good chunk of time for the survivor team. Zeno is being injured, and we are now going to see if Pedro or Ipic are rotating in. Once again, the hill going to be used just like in the previous trial, checking who's going to rotate. But so far, I must say that Elysium is making the impression that they just gonna smash through here.
Yeah, definitely. If Obi wants to win this set right now, he needs all the survivors to fall over dead. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, you know? They're not feeling that generous. Swatter does get saved, and there we go. Another generator gets done. That is the tie condition met by these survivors. So if they want to win, their goal is just to get one more generator done. And you know what? It definitely looks like that is in their favor, because look at that, another fresh hook. This is not looking like there's going to be a tunnel out turning into a 3v1, which makes the map a lot easier to pressure. It seems like the survivors definitely have it on lockdown. They already know what they need to work for. Swatter and Pedro are all the way across the map. We know that generator on that hill or near that hill, there was a hill involved, had progress. So Obi is definitely going to go back and check on that. They are definitely working on it. I will definitely tell you that. We'll see how much progress it does have. Obi does have some pop. Goes a weasel left. Yes, we'll be going over here to kick it, placing eruption on it. We can already see the scratch marks of a survivor. A little bit of evidence that somebody was here. And it does teleport to that. It does block that window off, but the survivor has completely stealthed away. This is the problem with trying to pressure people who are all the way across the map. As soon as you leave the chase, your teammates are screaming at you. They're saying, hey man, he's leaving. Go ahead, pre-stealth, try to get away from there. Obi knows that that's exactly what is happening as well. And now all survivors have been reset. Now they can just stealth their way to do generators. They can do it as much as they really want. There's 4 people left in the game. It makes it really hard to prevent even just one generator from getting done. It doesn't matter how close, tight-knit they are. In order to actually prevent this next gen, you just have to be in multiple places at once. And even though Dracula has high mobility, it really seems like the survivors have this game just absolutely won already. You can definitely see the survivors are playing aggressive. They're trying to get the killer's attention. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you still have to hit a survivor twice. Even if you just hit them and they don't even move, you have to hit them twice. You have to put them up on hook. You have to either slug them. You have to get all the way across the map to try to pressure those generators. It's just seemingly like it's not going to happen. I don't want to say it's over till it's over, but you know what? It'd be a miracle if the survivors would just, if Obi asks nicely, maybe they will stop working on gens. Maybe. It doesn't seem like they want to, but if he was really nice about it.
I think Obi has no problem with them being a little bit slower here. He's going to write the thank you card soon, sending them along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, if we get a 4K right here, right now, that would be the tie. So we would just move into the next set, but but it would still be the 1-0 for Elysium. Zeno with the absolute crankster movement, and yeah, that is going to be the generator number 4. If you're losing this much time on the shack because Zeno is turning into Iron Man of DBD, then you do not need to wonder yourself when you are hitting the end game. Swatter, Pedro, and iPick are going to get towards the doors here, and it seems like Obi, I'm not sure if that's a spectator bug that we sometimes experience or if that's just Obi being really sad right now and standing there in grief while the Elysium survivors are going to move out of the door here. Sacrifice by Zeno in the basement. Very well played, Elysium. Once again, not a close result at all. It is pure dominance that we see here at the moment. 2-0, very much deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to hop on a very short break, setting up the potential final set of today, and we will see if Elysium is smashing it like that on the Oni after the short break. There are exactly 2 platforms in the internet, ladies and gentlemen, where you can see the best and sexiest killer plays. One is DBDLeague and the other one is Oni Fans, where Obi is now trying to get these clips together with his killer here against the Elysium survivor team. Zeno, Silhey, Swatter, and Pedro have not made a single mistake yet, at least not a mistake that we noticed, and that would have really been punishing for them. They have been efficient, they have been fast, and they have altogether been very dominant so far in this best of 5. That's why we have a 2-0 advantage for Team Elysium, and everyone who has calculated carefully knows that the 3rd set win would guarantee the victory in the best of 5 and already qualifying Elysium for the grand final. So it is the final chance for Team Calamity to make a big move here, and Obi, who unfortunately really doesn't seem to have the best day on the killer side, is hopefully now able to have a good early game for himself.
A good early game is exactly what they need. However, unfortunately, they find themselves at a jungle gym tile. This is one of those where this one's a little bit different from the variation that we normally see. I believe it's a little bit stronger. The window and the pallet are a little bit further apart. So yeah, Obi definitely needs to kick that to get rid of it. And trying to get an early down is going to be a venture to do on this map. There are so many playable pallets. It's going to take a really a large amount of work. A lot of these are safer as well too. We've got this one right here, which is a bit of a safer pallet. Definitely just needs to be thrown down. Yeah, it gets thrown down in Obi's face and gets blinded as well. There's a lot of good ones. If the survivors know how to play this map, it's going to be really difficult. Oni on this map is all about snowball potential. Getting that first hit, getting those blood orbs, and then getting a lot of survivors down on the ground as soon as possible is definitely the play. Tries to bait out that pallet throw, but is not enough. Silhey is just playing this so very well. Causes Obi to go for a swing and a miss as well right there, and then gets stunned on the wrong side. It's just not Obi's day. The survivors are just playing their hearts out, winning every single 50-50. It seems like even with Zeno as well able to mind game the survivors, seems that the survivors are just mind gaming the killer as well. It just seems like they know exactly what they're doing. First hit does come out eventually, though it's gonna have to take some time. If Obi really wants, he could commit to Silhey to get those blood orbs. Kicks that generator, applying a little bit of eruption. Corruption Invention is completely ran out. The survivors have done such a good job. And now here we go. We can see effects of Greenville. There's a lot of clutter on this map in the form of rocks and trees and lockers and generators. It's a lot of stuff to hide behind. Zeno is absolutely stealthing it out. Silhey over here by Shaq, just leaving tons of blood orbs. Feels bad for the killer. Says, hey man, here you go. Try to make something with this. Buy yourself something nice. The survivors have already gotten 2 generators done. Swatter is working on one here in the main building. It's about 50% of the way. Obi does eventually find out Silhey, who is over here at Shaq, really hard to outplay Tile. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to commit for the down. Does not decide to do that. One upside to this map shape is that 3 generators are in large supply. However, we know that the main building has a lot of progress, so that 3 gen is going to be split, and the map is very long, very, very long map. So being able to pressure it as a killer is really difficult. So we'll have to see what kind of result can even come out of something like this, because Silhey is just absolutely playing this Shaq right here. Yep, is in his element, absolutely feeling himself, doesn't go for the vault right there, but still has the Shaq pallet up, is forced to kick it. Obi still does not pop power. If he needed a little bit of a speed boost, I know that Survivor's injured, but maybe could pop it and try to get it down. It seems like Obi is just trying to pressure so many things at once, but it's just not able to get anything. As the Survivors are just incredibly stealthy and careful. They want to make this a 3-0 sweep, and it seems like that's exactly what their plan is.
To add a little bit of information here, the longest Oni down that we have seen in the winter circuit, or the latest first down on Oni, was 6 minutes and 5 seconds. I will not throw the player under the bus who had this horrible experience, but I think we are faster than that. Obi is not going to be the new record. We are 5 minutes and 6 seconds into the game. Shout out to Toby, our tournament analyst in the background. 5 minutes and 6 seconds. Ray, that's how I brush my teeth twice until we have the first survivor down in this trial here. That is incredible. 5 minutes. This is just beyond what Elysium is delivering here today, because then we are also talking about who's going to, like, how are we taking an advantage on the upcoming trial, right? And for the survivor team of Calamity, that would mean if they want to make a difference in the early game, they would need to delay the first down longer than 5 minutes and 6 seconds here. What a horrible task is that you can have on your hands when you are trying to win a very desperately needed set, because the other team already has 2 sets in a best of 5. Just wow. Wow, 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 ladies and gentlemen. And they just continue. Pedro here is doing a fantastic job on this rather difficult tile, just using this wall here. Obi tried to fake him out, not going to work, getting stuck there a little bit on the edge. Attempt coming out again. This time it's going to be the down, the second down, but 4 generators already completed, and that's why he was why he is in a difficult situation. The end game very likely not far away from us anymore. The generator setup also looking kind of okay for the survivor team. Yeah, we have a pretty spread triangle to work with here on the killer side. Nothing where you can just go ahead and check the generators perfectly when he's moving away to the next survivor. We have the rescue in the distance as well, so perfect communication on Elysium's side. The good news is that we have this blood bank here at the shack, so we have the power one more time, but we really need to get some serious outcome out of this power here. We need at least 2 slugs, I would say. And after blocking the power, we immediately need the first down in order to make sure that we maintain some time with mobility and with 1-hit potential. Checking on the generators is also pretty good. We have the eruption that is now going to build up. We also have a little bit of a dry kick here and there for 5%, but it's nothing yet that is going to impress Elysium a lot. It will take more than that. As we mentioned, the double down would really be needed here. Obi seems to catch Silhey, who's waiting on the pallet here. Half of the power is about to be expired. Attempt again. Beautiful. And now you could potentially go and slug, but Obi decides to stay safe with the painless stack potentially. I think I can sign that strategy as well.
Yep. does get another down right here. Needs a little bit of a slowdown. Remember earlier when I said this map is really long and splitting the map makes it just so much harder for the killer? Well, it seems like the survivors are being a little bit nice. Maybe they feel bad for Obi because they created a 3-gen scenario for themselves right here in the middle of the map where a lot of the resources aren't the best. I said earlier there's a lot of pallets on this map, but a lot of these pallets are just really playable and get really, really scarce whenever one of them is thrown, one of them is kicked right there. Oh my god, but the survivors just have insane pressure. They definitely just broke that 3-gen right there. They said, hey, maybe we should cast or curse Rayoxium today. I mean, they absolutely did. Going for an insane flick right here. It is a good flick, but does not have as much distance as needed to get that down. Is forced to kick this pallet right here. Swatter does jump in the locker. I believe Swatter was hooked earlier. I'm not entirely sure. But it seems like the survivors are already on a plan here. They might just take this and then leave. Yeah, no, Swatter wasn't hooked. No, yes, was not hooked. That will be a fresh hook. That is a really, really good result. Awards Obi 3 more stages. All the rest of the survivors just kind of dip. It's a little bit difficult to save against Oni on this map. You know what? The way that Elysium is playing today, I would have just guessed they would have tried to save him. It is a little bit more difficult against Oni with his insta-downs. You can't body block. He has a lot of speed. But, you know, I thought they would have gone for it. Maybe the doors were too far, or maybe they were just confident in Xeno's ability, which, you know, I would place a fair bit of money on that he was going to do really well anyway. What was the finished stages? Was it 6? I believe 6 with 3 fresh? I need a little confirmation.
Yeah.
The UI bugs out.
6 on 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 6 on 3. So an okay result, I would say, considering how the early game started, but not the major result when you are down by 2 set points and this is your final chance, I would say. Obi also just entered the top 3 of the longest first downs. We had the 6 minutes and 5 on one Oni before. We had 7 minutes and 10 seconds on a Freddy. And this is the 3rd game that went above the 5-minute mark. So Obi qualifying for a rather sad top 3 statistic that we have for the winter circuit, but someone needs to be up there. But this is the difficulty, right? When we are talking about how are you going to counterplay this, we would need to see an early game that is minimum lasting 5 minutes as well. And if the survivors are able to do that on the side of Calamity, and if they are taking the final chance, is something we will find out right after a short break.
Welcome back, DBD enjoyers, comp enjoyers, comp watchers. Hello, welcome back to potentially the very last game in the matchup of Elysium versus Calamity. We've seen Elysium absolutely play out of their minds today. They've already won the very first 2 sets, and it seems like this last one right here, potentially last one right here, is going to be an interesting one because we've got Xeno on the Oni. We know what Xeno is capable of on this killer. Already on the trail of Oscar right here, has to throw this really safe pallet super early. Xeno has brutal strength that is chunking through these. Definitely has another playable tile over here, but it is a 50-50, and we know with Xeno today, he is absolutely locked in. Even just kicking this one pallet right here will be good for creating a lot of distance. However, Oscar knows that and is just leaving. Going to try to make it to the next tile. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. The first hit comes out so much earlier than last game. The result to meet is 6 stages, 4 fresh. That is the very minimum that Xeno would need to get. However, if he wants to win by a lot, he can get 7 stages. He can get 8 stages. He just needs to get at least 6 with 4 fresh or 7 stages. The first generator comes already out, but Xeno does get his power, meaning he is armed and dangerous for this game right here. Has his rocket in his sights, throws both of these pallets, is absolutely not playing around, but neither is Xeno. Absolutely, oh my god, does an insane, disgusting flick and gets a rocket down and out of the game so early. 2 gens done. That was really fast. 2 gens already done. They had that pressure locked in, but now Xeno has his first down, and those stages are going to come rolling in after. Very, very good start for Zeno, I would say, for sure. But, you know, it's not over. The survivors definitely need to be really good on this pressure, really stealthy, and not be found by the killer, which seems like it's not going to be happening just yet. But this game is looking like it might be in the favor of the killer. Oh, man, another hit as well. That's going to be really hard to come back from.
That's going to be tricky indeed. Let's see here. Stand of mind game between Marco and our Oni. Usage of the life very needed here. Let's see if it's going to be the additional distance. We see a reset in the distance onto Rocket. Marco once again with a pretty good patience, if you're asking me, even forcing the swing here. Next rotation, who's going to stay the winner? That was the overpeak right there. Unfortunately not longer, but he still saved quite some time, if you are asking me. I would really think that we are going to see quite some gen pressure on the other ones. We do have a little bit of blood bank up here that we can use for later. Calamity, though, not looking too bad. With that hook stage now coming in onto Marco, we are talking about 2 stages on 2 individual survivors. 6 on 3 is needed. If they manage to survive this power, that should be pretty okay.
Oh, man. Managed to survive the power. You had to go and say it. They get another generator done, but Oscar goes down, and that is 2 people on hook right now. It's just looking like pure chaos. They've got all of these hook stages. Zeno is close to having his power once again, has barbecue and chili, and can see the aura of the survivor who's already making their way towards the hook. But will it be in time? It seems like it will be in time. The save does come through. Tries to go for a swing right there, but instead hits the survivor on hook. I think Zeno was trying to get there to make it a 1-for-1. But I don't know, it's not going to be enough. That's 2 stages. You know, it actually doesn't look too bad for the survivors. They need to last in chase for a really long time. Oh, a little bit of a standstill mind game right there. What am I going to do? What am I going to do, Zeno? Hind makes it all the way to this picnic right here. Oh my God, look at the patience of the survivors right here. They're doing a fantastic job, but now Zeno is all the way on the other side of the map. Another generator comes through. I swear to God, these survivors have speed axe on these gens, because the pressure is just insane. Zeno has confirmation that all of the survivors were indeed over here working on this generator, tripling it, getting it done. Now it's a little bit of a heal party, and they're getting all reset. We've got a lot of hook stages on a lot of survivors, but it's not over. 1 generator left, but Zeno is in power now. Doesn't even throw a shack pallet right there. Incredibly greedy. Does have a blood bank here as well. So Zeno could absolutely snowball the ever-living heck out of this game, if I do say so. If Zeno gets a down right here, Slugs gets another down right here, that'll just be GG's, because, oh man, look at that disgusting flick. We know that Zeno is completely knowledgeable on this killer. It's absolutely putting on a show. Gets another hook stage again. The other survivors, this map is really big, and it does usually work in favor of the survivors, but it isn't in this case, because the survivor had to run all the way over there to get the unhook. The map is perfectly split, but I mean, if this survivor dies on hook, I believe that is the win con, right? That is 4 stages, 1 ush on every single other survivor. And Rocket is now on the 2nd stage. So that will be 6, I believe, if Rocket dies. So that is just the win.
And it's 6 and 4. Yeah, that would be enough. If Rocket is dying, anyone basically here would be the win condition. And that's the tricky fact here. It looked pretty good for Calamity during the early game, how they recovered, how they had the longer chase and the standoff there on the top side of the Greenville square. But then a little bit too slow on the generators and a little bit too quick on getting hooked. Now 2nd stage for Marco, and that's going to be hook stage number 6. But since Zeno has accumulated these 6 stages on 4 survivor, he is going to take the advantage on win condition C, which is the individual survivor's hook, and that's going to be the 3-0 clean win for Team Elysium here. They are going into the grand final with eternity Kernel next Saturday, 6 p.m. Central European time, ladies and gentlemen. A best of 7 is going to be played on that weekend, and I think that's going to be such a fantastic match. Oscar here getting, I don't know, sniped across the map
Absolutely
and across
slaughtered.
the floors of the building. That is absolutely crazy here. And if Zeno, with his confidence, Ray, this could even turn into a 4K if you're asking me.
It's just Zeno never misses with those dashes. It seems like he's just absolutely locked onto their location. It is just dominating. Every single flick right there connects. It does a fantastic job. Yeah, 4K1. This is kind of a result that I would expect out of Oni on this map. I have seen Oni play previously on Greenville maps, and this does seem like the result. Oh, look at this. Hein being incredibly efficient all the way across the map. There's no way Zeno's making it over there. We'll be able to get that generator done. It won't be a 4K at all these gens done. Maybe even some escapes. Man, look at that. Oh, and the survivor you're chasing has adrenaline. How unfortunate. Doesn't even have power either. So has to hit the survivor twice if they... Oh, yeah, let's watch a little movie. Zeno says, hey, man, let's take a break from looping. Let's chill out, dog. Let's watch a movie together. We can even hold hands. Oh, my gosh. Look at that little bromance we got going on. Yeah, that's a good little movie.
Yeah, Zeno heating up.
Yep. Take a little bit of a break. You know, he did a really good job. He deserves it. He played very well. Rocket, you know, these other survivors are having absolutely none of it. Leaves, but you know what? They should feel exactly proud of the way they played today. Elysium did a fantastic job. You know what? Maybe I should just say Zeno, because Zeno was absolutely killing it on Killer. Absolutely doing
Zeno
such a good
friends.
job. Yeah, the survivors,
Zeno and
they were
friends
here,
did
but...
good. Fantastic. I have to agree. There's not even so much that you can analyze here. Elysium played perfect today, literally 125% of their full potential. And Calamity, I think they played well, but I think when we are looking on the potential and the performance that they showed yesterday against Sinners, they couldn't, unfortunately, repeat what they have shown yesterday. And they unfortunately didn't... they unfortunately didn't play like 110% that you need in the top 3, but unfortunately only like 90 or 80%, which is still incredible. And I think they absolutely deserved a 3rd place in this tournament. I think there's a huge reason why they played here today, and we've seen their quality throughout the stream. It is just sad because I feel like Calamity was also expecting for themselves a little bit more than that.